Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Bueno. I am a software developer, CTO, and co-owner of BSource Consultoria, a specialized company on software development on demand. I am also a Sencha MVP and work with ExtJS since version 4. Today, I will be talking to you about ViewModel and its base functionality. I will show a restaurant help desk system that I've created for demonstration purpose of this presentation. We'll explore the source code and I will show you how we can make a parent view model structure in an efficient way, how we can avoid complex expressions and make our code look cleaner and maintainable. We'll be seeing about Ext.data.store and how we can use it to show and hide items or components in our view. And also, we will explore the ExtJS documentation about ViewModel. Okay, so now let's see the guide from Sencha. Here, Sencha provides this guide in its official page of the ExtJS documentation. It will introduce you to the application architecture. We'll teach you what is MVC, what is MVVM, how you can use it, how ExtJS uses it, So today in the application I've created, I am going to use MVVM for the simulation, okay? Here you can see it has a lot of information. It's good to read all of this documentation. It will help you to not use it in a bad way, so you can use it properly as Sencha built ExtJS as it should be. In the bottom of this documentation, you can see that you have the basic structure for ViewModel. Here you have the custom, the class, the name of your ViewModel, the namespace of your ViewModel, right? It will say it extends from the x.app.viewModel. Basically here is going to tell, hey, ExtJS, please inherit from x.app.viewModel and bring me all the configurations of ViewModel to this main model here. We'll add an alias to reference this ViewModel in our view. So here we have an alias viewmodel.main. ViewModel.main will be used on our view to reference this ViewModel and use it with some bind properties and to show data from store. And here we have data. Data, it is basically data, so we can add here a string, a integer, a array, an object, boolean, and we can use this information on our view to manipulate, to show, and to hide some data. Anyway, we have formulas and methods that we can add in the ViewModel, so it makes our code cleaner. We also can use stores inside ViewModel, so we make a bridge between the stores and the views. By using the ViewModel, we can receive the data from the store by proxy and by memory, and we can add it to our ViewModel store. And the ViewModel store can be referenced in our view by the bind property. Okay, so this is a restaurant help desk system. Basically here what we will be seeing is a lot of tickets in the left. So here we can see that we have a lot of issues to fix, to solve, okay? And each one of it is different one of other. It's being generated by a mock data class in ExtJS, so it's only for simulation purpose. None of this data is real. We have this timer of how long the ticket is open, and in the left we have how long are we taking to solve this issue, And here we have in the top right corner how many tickets are opened and how many are closed. This will increase when we solve a problem. So let's see this one over here. The kitchen order printer is failing to print certain orders. This is causing delays in the food preparation and delivery. So here what we can do is write a solution for it. So let me write something here. Okay, sending a new one ASAP. And I will close my ticket. So you can see right here, it added the average handle time. So how long did I took to finish to solve this issue, and it increased the count of closed tickets. And we can see that the closed ticket now has a blue-black background color, indicating that this ticket is closed. It also shows us the average handle time, and it also shows when was closed. We can see here too that we have these colors over here. This indicate how long the ticket is open and how critical the ticket it's becoming, We can solve another one here like this. Sending a new machine. What is that? We're going to close it. And you see that the count of closed tickets increased. And here the background color changed to blue again. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to the code. Here we have the mock data class. Here is where I have all the informations of the Ext ticket. So here we have the names, we have the segments, we have the instance titles, we have the body. And in the bottom of this class, I get the get new random ticket, where it generates me a random ticket. And here we have the ticket management view, where we see all this view you're seeing over here. It's all gathered in this view over here. So you see we have the X type ticket management view here, and it's the same as the alias of the controller and of the view model. If you go to the view model, you can see that we extend from x.app.viewModel, as the documentation says. We have our namespace and we have our alias. And you see our alias is being referenced in our view. That's how we can use the data from view model in our view. Okay. And here we have some components that's being rendered at what you saw. So this is the welcome text. It shows when we have no tickets. Here we have tickets, so we can see that message. Here we have the count of the header that's over here. It's the open it and close it count. Over here we have these slots. These slots is this rectangle at the left, where we can select and see the informations of each ticket. And here we have the ticket view. That is this whole area here, where we can see the details of a ticket and we can write a solution for it and close the ticket. Okay. Now we have the tickets over here and we have this lot over here, and each one of them has a view model. It's similar to the structure that we've seen in the picture form of the view model documentation. Here we have this slot view. The slot view, it uses a bind to the user CLS so we can change the background if it is selected or not, and if it's closed or not. So you can see this ticket is selected and the background color is kind of purple, right? So when you see a closed ticket, you have a blue background color. So this is happening because of this bind over here, where we say user CLS, if the ticket selected is active, then you add a selected class, otherwise you don't. And if it is closed, you add a closed class, otherwise you don't. So this causes this effect over here, where you can see that I selected this ticket, the background turned purple, and this one here, it's blue. Here we have the status bar. The status bar indicates us if the ticket is open, if it's closed. So here it's open. We need to give a solution for it. Here it's closed. It means we already gave a solution for the ticket, so we don't need to write anything. And when we receive the ticket for the first time, you see the border over here, it's green. Let me refresh the page. You see, so this border over here, it's green because the ticket is recent. I've just received it and I have to close it. I have to solve it in order to change the color to blue. So you see, now it changes to orange to indicate that time is ticking and I need to solve this ticket. So if I write here a solution, like now the ticket's going to turn blue and the background too. You see? So now talking about the view model of this, I am going to make some changes first with view. So here we have this structure over here where in slot view controller we are defining the current time in this view model context. So let's assume we have in this file structure, in this folder structure, we have here the tickets and its childs are slots and ticket. So we can assume that slots are a child of tickets. So when we write a code into view model of slots, we only have access by the slot view. But what if we remove this code from here and put it here? So what we can do is we remove from one class and apply to another. So what will happen here is ticket management view controller. It is the parent of ticket and slots. So if I have these two methods over here, I only have the current date time set in this view model context, meaning I only can access the current date time in slot view. I cannot access in ticket management view and neither in tickets view. Okay. Now let's test our application. Let's see. Now the intention is we are going to see the current date time here taken. So now you see that we received a lot of tickets over here and each one of them has the wait time, you see? And the difference between having the current date time in the slot view controller in and having it in the ticket management view controller is we don't have a set interval for each one of these slots. So we are not doing this logic over here for each one of these tickets. We have just one for all of our tickets. So basically what we are doing here is making all this code more efficient, and the performance cost is lower in comparison to making this code inside the slot view controller. Because you see, every time you init one of it, one slot, it will set an interval and will call this method. Okay, so now we are going to talk about how the parent view model works over here. So here, as you can see, is where we pass the current view model. So after all, I didn't say how the current date time ends up in each slot. So what happens is I am setting over here the current date time, right? And how the slot view knows that the current date time that I want is the one that I am setting over here in my init. So when I create a new slot, I call this method add fake slot, and I pass my view model, my current view model, meaning I am passing this view model over here. And with this view model, I am giving the current date time object that I set in my init and all the other configurations from my view model. So ticket view model and slot view model will inherit all these informations that I am setting in my ticket management view model. So to understand better what I am saying, we can see in this slide that the current structure is we have the view model dot ticket management view, that it is the parent view model, and inside the data object we have the current date time saying it is the new date, meaning it's now, like we instantiate a new date class for each one of this data object. So we replicate the date time object in every view model that are inheriting from ticket management view. So slot view, and slot view are all inheriting the current date time from ticket management view. And each one of these, we can assume that it is each one of these. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the complex expression. Here we have the complex expression, we have the simple one. We have this line of code over here. We have the line 8, where it is validating if our ticket is selected and if it is active. If it is, we are going to give a selected class to it, otherwise we don't. And the same happens to close it. If it's closed, we give the closed class, otherwise we don't. In our view, this is the line where we saw in this slide. So there's nothing wrong with this line of code. It works. It is in high performance costs, but we can make it better by making it more reusable. So here we can only use this logic here in this component, in this container. But in the case of needing to use the same logic in other place, we can't. We have to write the same logic again. So what we can do to solve this issue is open the view model. We can go to the formulas object and we can add a new formula. Okay, so now we have this lot CLS formula and we have some attributes here, some properties. So now we have the bind object, where here we say that we are binding to tickets. So we are going to to get the data ticket that we are defining, and we're saying that it is deep true. So whenever something inside the ticket object changes, we are going to be notified because we are going to look deep into this object. And here we have the get method, where we can get the same logic that we were using in the view, but now we are using it in a formula, and we can reproduce it just by pasting the name of the formula that we've wrote. So now if I save and see here, the effects should be the same because we are only changing where the logic happens. So now we have here the background color is purple when I select a ticket. And if I close the ticket, you will see that the color will change. So nothing changed. All we done was change the logic from the view to the view model, so we can get a reusable code, and we also make the view look more cleaner. Now, it is a good option to do this, but we can make it more reusable, because doing this in the formula, it only makes me able to reuse the same formula within the slot view. And if I want to use it, for example, in ticket view, like over here, I can't. You see? Because slot CLS is not in the same context, it's not in the same scope. So ticket view model doesn't have access to slot CLS. This will not have the same result that we are having here. So one thing we can do, it's actually add the same logic. So let me remove this logic from the formula. And we can add to the ticket model a virtual field, name it slot CLS, where we can use the same logic. And now all the data that I receive, let's imagine that I am using a API with a proxy in my store over here. So here we have the proxy. Mine is type memory because of a mocked data class that I have here. But you can receive your data from the API, and here you declare your proxy. You define it here, the type of your proxy. So returning now to our model, we can see that we added this virtual field called slot_cls, and this persists. It's telling the ExtJS, hey, ExtJS, do not send this field slot_cls through post or put to our API. So if you're doing some CRUD operation where you are creating or updating, you are not sending the slot CLS field to your API. So this object, it's virtual and only for manipulation purpose. By the way, I need to show you guys how we are making the effect of making selected being active. So when I select a ticket, how do I know if the ticket is selected or not? So here, let me refresh the page to ExtJS can, I forgot something. In the slot view, we are now going to name this field as ticket.slotCLS because we changed the ticket model and added this virtual field. So we have to change here too in order to ExtJS could understand and apply the changes. So now, as you can see, we can actually see the time running, the background purple, and the border changing its colors. So the effect of being selected happens in the model right now. So the effect of the background color is being added by the ticket model with the virtual slot CLS field. And now, speaking about how the selected becomes active or not, we are going to go to this view, slot view controller. Actually, we are going to go to the view first because we need to see the listener tab, where when you tap the element, meaning when you tap a container, this element, you are going to fire this tap event, and this function will be listening in slot view controller. So here we have on tap that it is the listener from the tap event that we are firing in the slot view. So here in the slot view controller, you can see that the logic it's doing, hey, ticket, are you selected and active? Yes, so do nothing because you already selected and you are already active. Otherwise, I will fire the event with me.fireViewEvent. The event name will be slot selected, and I am passing as a argument the me.getView, meaning this view as an argument for whoever is listening to this event. And now, one of the listeners of this event is going to be here. Let me show you. Here, we have this custom listener. You see, this listener isn't provided to us by Sencha. This is a listener that we created on slot view controller. When we fire this view event, slot selected, ticket management view, it's listening here. And when I listen to slot selected, he will call the onSelected listener. That is this method over here. So this method is doing a fire event, but instead of doing just for the context of the view, he is firing a global event with slot selected. And then slot view controller is listening to this global event and it is doing all the logic in this method over here. And here it will see if the current view is different than the selected. If it is, it will set a new ticket and will apply these configurations for selected. So basically all these objects that we have here, it's being applied to this property of tickets. That is what Ext.apply does. And here I am forcing a new evaluation of the ViewModel formula. Otherwise, we'll just set our ticket to selected with these objects over here. So it will be active, it will receive a new date, and we'll force the slot CLS to reset the formula of the model. Here I will set my ticket to commit everything I wrote. So I added this object here, and I'm going to say the ticket to commit and to my ViewModel to notify the changes. So my store can be aware that I am changing a record and that its new value needs to pass all the formulas that I wrote in my model, which is that formula over here. You see now, looking at my view, you can see that nothing changes. It's still the same, and we can now use the same logic in other views. So we have this slot view using this logic, but we can also add the same logic to this part over here, where we set a background based on the ticket status. So if I close this, you will see we'll change here to blue, and here we'll change to blue too. Now, in order to we actually use the convert in the ticket view, we need to get here and write. We're gonna replace this line to ticket.slotCLS. And we can see now that the ticket we are going to see here, we have the background purple, indicating that we selected it. And here will be purple too, because we are using the same method that we created in the ticket model called slot CLS. This virtual field that it's just to convert this value and to be used in our view. Now we have another complex expression that we can change, that is this border over here. We can see that in this lot we have this complex expression over here where we say user CLS receive the status class, the status, and now we have the status and this complex logic over here. It's not complex, but it is long, and we don't need this logic to be here in the view. We can make the line short just by removing the logic from here and adding to a formula. So what I will do now is create a new formula on slot view model. And I will place the formula in the bottom of the formulas. So this will be the formula that I will use. And basically what it's saying is status CLS, you will bind, you will bind to ticket, and you save the ticket as a object and the current date time as a object too. And here we have the data. The data will be a object with ticket and current date time side of it. And we validate. If the ticket is null, then we return a void, a empty string, and we don't add any class. Otherwise, we will see if the ticket is closed and when it started. And if it is closed, we will return the closed ticket. Otherwise, we'll just proceed with the logic. And if it isn't started and if it doesn't has a current date time, it will just return this empty string again. And we have this seconds over here where we get the current time, date time, and we subtract to the started at. And then we get the seconds, and with the seconds, we are validating if second it's less than 15, then it's green. Otherwise, second it's less than 30, then it's yellow. Otherwise, it's red. Meaning, if it's greater than 30, then the border color will be red. After this, we can delete an unnecessary formula called total seconds, because total seconds it is being used here to calculate if the seconds that our ticket is opened, it's greater than 30, and it's basically doing the same logic that we've created in the formula, but in a more complex way. Basically, we have to remove the necessary formula, total seconds, because the work we are doing here, it's already done in status CLS. So we don't need total seconds anymore. We can delete it. We can save it. And now we can just add here the status CLS formula to replace all this line of code, making the code more cleaner for us to read. So now let's test our changes here. Okay, so now we have this new ticket. The timer is ticking, and we expect that when the timer reaches 15, the color will change to orange. Okay, so now the color changes to orange. And another thing that we expect is when we close the ticket, the border is going to turn blue because we changed the status of the ticket. So let's close it. And as you see, the color turned to blue because we changed the ticket status to close it. And as this formula here, since it's being deep through, it's been monitoring the ticket, and whenever something inside the ticket object changes, this formula will be called again. So this is why when you close the ticket, you can see the ticket being closed. You can see the background and the color of the border being changed. So let's see, close it. As we can see, the same behavior that we have with the tickets below. Now coming back here for the slides, we can see that we managed to solve the sample 1 of the complex expression, and we managed to solve the sample 2 of the complex expression. Now we are going to talk about the x.data.store and how we are using it. So you see, when you see in the top right corner of the application, we open it and the close it are tickets that count. So here what it's saying is, please select the support ticket from the list on the left. And the logic here is to hide if the tickets.count it's equals 0. Meaning that if we don't have any tickets here, this message should not be shown. And the same happens here. So when we have the 10 open tickets, what we are doing is making a ticket.count, and we are just filtering the closed ones. So when I close a ticket, see, we have 11. When I close one, it will decrease for 10, and the closed will increase to 3. So we are doing this with this store. So you see, we have the store tickets here. We have the closed count here. And in the controller, we set the closed count based in the quantity of closed items we have in the store tickets. So we added this listener, data changed, and every time this event data changed fires, the listener own tickets data changed will be called, passing the store ticket as an argument, and we can use this argument to manipulate the store and to query the store by closed records, and then we get the count of closed records and we store it in the closed count object of your model. Now I want to show you guys the official documentation of the Ext.app.ViewModel class. This is what we have to study, you know. It is pretty important for us to read this documentation because it is a fundamental part of the ExtJS. ViewModel is super used in our application, and it's highly recommended that you come here and read the documentation by yourself. It's pretty important. So here the documentation will teach you some aspects, some properties, some configurations that you can use in your view model, such as the binding structure that we are using in our view that access the records that we store in the view model. So in our view, when we do something like tickets.slotCLS or tickets.selected, we are using the bind to capture the object from view model and manipulate it in our view as what it's showing the documentation. When we say hello user.name, it was the same as I showed you guys when we were using like ticket.name, ticket.title. over here. Ticket.count. So this kind of binding, it's what Sencha is teaching you here. So it's pretty important to us to read this part of the documentations. We have here too the two-way descriptors. So here Sencha, it's directing us to a certain way of how we can use the bind with our components. Here we have some options to bind to. So when I was making some formulas, I used bind to. I did not use single, but I did use deep, which is the next one here. So as you can see, you can bind a object here. So, and we can add the deep through and a function to be called when this object is changed, or when something reference the object, or when we manipulate the object, when we fire this event so that bind can execute this function again. Here is going to say the binding timings. Here is going to talk about the models, stores, and associations. Associations, it's easy to understand if you already work with a relational structure in your API or in your backend. Here we have the models. So here we have the stores. The stores is an amazing part of the ViewModel, and one of the amazing features of the stores of the ViewModel is that you can add your filters dynamically. So here you can add a new value, create a filter, and you can add an operator. So you are going to say to ViewModel store, hey store, I have this property, created date, and I have this new value, and I want you to filter my store based on this property, and I want this property to be greater than created filter. And we have another properties of store here, such as count that we are using. We have total count that we can use to count not just the data that we have here on screen, but we can also count the data from our backend. And here we can see if the store is loading, and this we can use to make some load masks or hide and show some items depending on the stores that are loading. And it has a lot of content, this documentation, and I highly recommend you to read it and study it, because it has a lot of content and a lot of knowledge that you can use and apply to your applications. That's it, guys. I would like to thank Sencha for inviting me to this presentation. It was my first international presentation, and I hope that everyone could understand me. I'm a bit nervous, but if anyone would like to contact me, you can add me on LinkedIn in this address, and you can send me an email too. I appreciate you all, and
Okay, super. Thank you very much, Danielle. So let's just see if you can hear me okay?
Okay.
Okay, a little bit quiet on the mic, so let's, okay, I'm getting a little bit of feedback, but okay, well, let's go and see how we get on. So right now, let's have a quick look through the questions that are coming through. How does the ViewModel facilitate data binding in ExtJS applications?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Yeah. How does the view model facilitate data bindings in ExtJS applications?
Okay. The view model can make easy the process of your projecting your data on your view in so many ways, and you can change in dimensions, hiding or show some components, and projecting, counting statics of your store. So in so many way, and it's more easy and using view model. So that's it.
Okay. Martin here is asking, I have a question regarding the view model hierarchy. When using components in a standalone window, how does the hierarchy look like?
Okay. You can, when you create your window, you can put on create config your current view model as parent of the new view model of the window. So you can access data from your previous view model on your window, and you can change some data or access some formulas or stores anyway on your window. It's more it's easy working with that approach.
Okay, cool. Mohammed's on, he's asking, how do you debug a bind descriptor?
Okay. I don't know any mode to debug a bind expression, but I show in the video you can put your expression in a formula and start the debug process on view model. So it's easy. You follow the execution of the block of code in that way.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty cool approach. Quite a long question from Benjamin, so I'm just going to read it straight through. I'm not quite sure. Could you cause the parent view model some problems in larger applications? You have a module slot and the data formula is from somewhere else without declaring it. If I want to reuse the slot somewhere else, I have to know there are dependencies to my parent. That was about halfway through. I guess it's just asking that.
Yes, I understand. So you can the proposal here, it's not he uses lot view in any place of the solution. So it's a one view to the one place to show this view. It's on this container, and you cannot declare data attribute in with same name in of your parent view model, because you will some way overwrite the view model data attribute. So sorry, you will lose the access of your parent data attribute. So that's it.
Okay. Another question from Sam here. He said, first of all, he says, great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. How do view model hierarchies work in ExtJS? Can you explain how child view models inherit data from their parent view model and how communication between them is handled?
Okay. When when you start using ViewModel, you need planning how you will project your data after some shield components, because you can make a mess and make your application slower. So you need put the data in every level of your components, just the data you will use it at this level, because the parent or the root view model, you need a few data on this class, because if you want to put ever data you will use in child components in parent view model, your application will work slower. So you need planning how you will distribute your data attributes between your or view mode classes and between your hierarchy. That's it.
Yeah, I think as Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. Okay. Kushal here. We've got a couple of questions. First one is, how would you rate the 3 approaches explained here with respect to performance? Firstly, view model using a function. Secondly, a model, and then thirdly, a bind expression in a view.
Sorry, Stephen, can you repeat, please?
Yeah, he asks, how would you rate the 3 approaches explained here to performance? The view model, the model, or bind expression in a view?
Okay. I will need a lot of time to answer this question. It's it's difficult to me answer this in a few words.
Okay, well, maybe we could do a follow-up session then.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess maybe we can take that one away as an idea for a follow-up at some point. Put that in the queue. The other thing to ask is, what criteria would you use to choose which approach to use? I guess it always comes down to, for me, whenever I've looked at things like model view controller or model view-ViewModel, a lot of it comes down to the type of application we're building and how we're wanting to do the testing of the business logic and those kind of side of things. Having a specific model means it's a lot easier to test that code and then know that that model is working. And then the view and the view model then become a way of being able to show one or multiple models out onto the view that you're showing. So it becomes a great way to be able to separate out the UI element from what's actually within the business logic. But the great thing about having the bindings and all those kind of things is that you can use the power of those to help present and view and show the data that you've got coming from the models. So it's a great way to pick things up. Okay. Yeah. Sam says, thank you again. One last question, if you may. Can you please comment on how developers write unit tests to ensure view model logic is correct?
I used to use a Sencha tester to project my view model and to test my application. So that is another question I need more time to answer. But you can search for the Sencha tester. Is a great product to do this this task.